Skies and sunny here in Detroit as we welcome you to Comerica Park. It's the second of a three-game weekend series on Fox Sports 1, the LA Angels of Anaheim and the Detroit Tigers. Good afternoon, everybody. Kenny Albert along with Tom Verducci. Ken Rosenthal will join us as well. Angels won the series opener last night 11-6, and Tom, the guys in the studio, talked about the pitching matchup. Max Scherzer, C.J. Wilson. Scherzer last season starts 13-0. This year has not won over his first three starts.
Don't let that fool you, though, Kenny. He's throwing the ball as well, if not better than he did last year. 25 strikeouts in only 20 innings this year. One of the great strikeout pitchers in this game. The biggest difference is run support. The Tigers have scored only 5 runs in the 3 games. And C.J. Wilson, I think, is an underrated workhorse in this game. 4 straight years of 200 innings pitched. And the key for him is he's got a red-hot offense behind him. The Angels lead the major leagues with 27 home runs.
C.J. Wilson has not fared well in this ballpark in his career. Hopes to turn that around today. And when you look at some of the hitters, Miguel Cabrera, Mike Trout, they finished 1-2 in MVP voting in the American League each of the last 2 seasons.
Well, it's one of these rare games, enjoyable games, where we talk about individual matchups, not necessarily the starting pitchers. 2 of the best pure hitters in the game today. Mike Trout, we know about him and how good he is, but this just in, he's actually getting better this year. Mike Trout has shown more power to the pull field this year. He has 12 extra base hits in the first 16 games. That leads all of Major League Baseball. And, of course, Miguel Cabrera turned 31 years old yesterday. Already has his name alongside some of the greats all-time in Major League Baseball. Just off to a bit of a slow start this year with just 1 home run. The Tigers are waiting for their big guy to get back on track.
All right, Tom, should be fun as the Tigers look to bounce back following their 11-6 loss to the Angels here at Comerica last night. Miguel Cabrera on this day after his 31st birthday, his teammate Max Scherzer, the 29-year-old right-hander. Record of 0-1, earned run average of 2.7 over his first 3 starts. And here is the Angels batting order that will face Max Scherzer today. The left fielder J.B. Shuck leads off, followed by Mike Trout in center. Albert Pujols, the designated hitter, bats third. Raul Ibanez in the cleanup spot. Then Howie Kendrick, who went deep twice in last night's game. Third baseman Ian Stewart bats sixth. Bottom of the order, shortstop Eric Ibar, the catcher Hank Conger, and the right fielder, the ex-Tiger Brennan Bosch, will bat ninth.
The task right away for Max Scherzer is control the first inning. That's the key to just about every game, but the Angels have been on fire, leading the major leagues with 18 first-inning runs this season. Of course, the man hitting second, Mike Trout, has a lot to do with that.
For the Tigers defensively, Tom, around the infield, Cabrera, Kinsler, Romine, and Castellanos. In the outfield, Davis, Jackson, Hunter from left to right. The battery of Scherzer and Holiday. So we are ready for baseball here in Detroit as J.B. Shuck will lead off for the Angels, 0 for 5 in last night's game. Finished 5th in American League Rookie of the Year balloting last season. Started 2014 in the minor leagues. Takes a called strike 1 from Max Scherzer.
You see that first pitch at 90. You probably won't see the typical 94-95 from Max Scherzer. Talked to him about that. He said, hey, it's only April. Full arm strength, not quite there yet. Nothing wrong with him. He's been throwing the ball very well. Just velocity probably down a tick or 2 from where it normally will be.
Scherzer lasted only 5 innings in his last start Sunday in San Diego. He did strike out 10 Padres in that game. The 2-1 to Shuck, foul back over the screen. Now 2-2 with Mike Trout waiting on deck.
See J.B. Shuck take a little smell of the bat right there. A lot of players believe that if you foul the ball off sometimes the right way, there's a little bit of a smoky residue from the seams burning off the wood of the bat.
Another foul off to the right side.
Check this out. Anything there? A little barbecue flavor, maybe? Ted Williams was the one who really, I think, was credited with first noticing that smell.
He had that extra sense. And J.B. Shuck, after smelling the bat, with a leadoff home run for the Angels, his second of the season. And Tom, you mentioned the Angels lead the majors in home runs now with 28.
Yeah, 28 home runs, and again, first inning offense, getting on the board quickly. Doesn't get any quicker than that. First batter strike, down and in, happy zone for a left-handed hitter. Just drops the bat head on it, drives it out of the park.
Only the third career home run for Shuck, and two of the three, Tom, have been leadoff home runs.
First time he had faced Max Scherzer, and this guy right here, Mike Trout, 3 for 10 with a home run off Scherzer. The rest of the lineup today for the Angels, 190 with no home runs, well, until J.B. Shuck.
So not the start Max Scherzer had in mind, looking for his first win of the season. Now facing Trout, who is 3 for 10 lifetime against Scherzer with 1 home run. Fourth time Scherzer has allowed a leadoff home run. Second time in 4 starts this season. Now 2-2 on Trout with Albert Pujols waiting on deck.
Yeah, there's the slider, 2-1. Max will throw this at any point in the count. It's really how he's developed into an elite pitcher, is the command of that slider.
Scherzer comes back after allowing the leadoff home run, strikes out Mike Trout, 1 away.
See the target up high. They wanted this right above the hands of Mike Trout. Great location.
So with 1 away, here's Albert Pujols, who hit his 5th of the season last night. Career home run number 497.
And that was the first pitch he hit out last night. First time he's had a hit this year on first pitch.
Takes the first pitch from Scherzer for strike 1. Just 1 for 8 lifetime against Scherzer. Pujols with all 5 of his home runs this season over his last 9 games. Fouled off to the right side, 0-2.
This is last night. Watch how quickly he opens up on this pitch. Just really opens up those front hips. He got a pitch that looked like he was sitting on and took advantage of it.
Check swing, strike 3. Second consecutive strikeout for Scherzer. Pujols strikes out, Tom, for only the 5th time this season.
And that's that slider again. Really excellent pitch. Wanted that off the plate ahead in the count. Max always had a natural feel for the changeup. Came into the league as a good fastball changeup guy, and the slider was kind of a third pitch. And now I think it's right up there with the changeup and the fastball as a weapon.
So Pujols now 5 home runs, 5 strikeouts. Ball 1 to 42-year-old Raul Ibanez. 29 home runs a season ago with the Seattle Mariners. Off to a tough start at the plate with the Angels. Batting just .161, 9 hits in 56 at-bats.
Talk about late bloomers with Ibanez. You saw those numbers about the home runs before the age of 30. He was designated for assignment twice at the age of 29. Much better career after 30 than before.
called strike 3, so Scherzer strikes out the side after Schuck smelled the bat and then took Max Scherzer deep. Davis leads off, then Ian Kinsler. Miguel Cabrera hits third. Victor Martinez in the cleanup spot. Torrey Hunter will bat fifth, and Austin Jackson, Nick Castellanos, Brian Holiday, and Andrew Romine as the Tigers take on the 33-year-old left-hander C.J. Wilson.
CJ was a guy back in the day out of the bullpen. You'd see him fired up there 95, 96. He's become much more of a creative pitcher. Really good command, adds and subtracts off the fastball. The changeup, he'll throw to both right-handers and left-handers. He'll sink it, he'll run it. Very finesse-like pitcher. But he can dial it up when he needs to.
Wilson 2-1 in 3 starts this season. He's won his last 2. Davis has been a nice addition to this Tigers roster. He takes a called strike, batting .325. Third in the American League with 6 stolen bases. Ian Kinsler waiting on deck as Davis falls behind 0-2. Pop foul off to the right side. Davis adding the speed element here in Detroit. Last year, Tom, he stole 10 more bases than the entire Tigers team.
Yeah, it's a different Tigers team this year, no question. I think they'll hit fewer home runs and probably score fewer runs. The much more athletic team should be better defensively and especially running the bases.
The 0-2 from Wilson. Fastball missing inside. Now 1-2. Brad Ausmus, first season as Tigers manager. Detroit 7-6, 5-3 here at home. Up the middle. A leadoff single for Rajai Davis. So Davis sawed it first, has 6 steals this season. Time for our keys to the game, brought to you by Ford Service.
Well, for me, for the Angels, they need length out of C.J. Wilson. Now, he is good at that. He's averaging 117 pitches per start, but their bullpen is a little short. They've had trouble this season out of the pen. And for Detroit, only 1 home run in the last 6 games. Miguel Cabrera only 1 on the season. We talked about, fewer home runs, but that still needs to be a part of their game.
Only 11 home runs in 13 games for the Tigers. Ian Kinsler has 2 of the 11 as Wilson throws over. Kinsler 3 hits in last night's game. He drove in 2 runs. There goes Davis. Throw down to second is in time as the tag is applied by the second baseman Howie Kendrick.
It looked to me like Davis spun his wheels a little bit on the jump because C.J. Wilson does not slide step here. Nice throw by Hank Conger, but I thought it was all lost in the jump by Rajai Davis. Just seen that first couple of steps, didn't get a real good jump, kind of raised up.
Caught stealing for the second time this year. You see Kinsler's numbers against Wilson. They were also teammates for 5 years with the Texas Rangers.
CJ told me with that infield behind him, Elvis Andrus at short, Kinsler at second, his last year Beltre at third base, really stuck to throwing ground balls in Texas in that ballpark. Great infield behind him, a park where the ball jumps. Now he said with the Angels, he said, I wear that ballpark like a suit of armor. I love throwing fly balls out in Anaheim because the ball just doesn't carry at night in that ballpark.
Fastball called, strike 3. First strikeout for C.J. Wilson. Now 2 away here in the bottom of the first inning as Miguel Cabrera steps to the plate.
This is a modern strike. I say modern strike because about 5 years ago, maybe that's not called, and Kinsler think that's up. But more and more, I'd say over the last 3 to 5 years, umpires are calling that pitch, the one where the catcher catches it pretty much at eye level, calling that as a strike.
So with 2 away, bases empty for Cabrera. Only 5 extra base hits for Cabrera over the first 13 games. 1 home run, 7 runs batted in. On this day after his 31st birthday.
You know, he did have abdominal surgery at the end of last season, after last season. Really didn't show a lot of power while playing with the issue in September. And I asked Brad Ausmus if there was any carryover effect, and he said no, not at all. So Miguel Cabrera looked great in spring training. He's moved around well, played a little bit at third base in Los Angeles in interleague play this month.
Now 3-1. Ausmus also told us he's still the best hitter in the game, and at some point it will start clicking for Cabrera.
I think it's a pretty safe bet.
There's a guy in the other dugout, or actually in center field right now, who might argue that point. Cabrera draws a 2-out walk. So the 2-time reigning American League Most Valuable Player heads down to first as Victor Martinez steps in to face C.J. Wilson. Martinez 1 for 5 in last night's game, drove in a run. Only his 4th at bat this season, Tom, from the right side.
Yeah, the Tigers really have had trouble getting into a rhythm this season. They've had a ton of off days early in the season. And have not seen, as you said, much left-handed pitching at all.
Martinez 46 at bats, 43 as a left-handed hitter. 10 games, first 16 days, including 5 in National League ballparks.
Yeah, 1984 turned out okay.
Certainly did. Wilson missing high, now 2-1.
Well, Victor Martinez, to me, doesn't get enough credit as one of the best pure hitters in the game. One of the best two-strike hitters. Hard to put away. In fact, Kenny, he's had 8 seasons in the big leagues, full seasons, where he has not struck out 80 times. Only 2 players have had more of those seasons. Actually 3. Ichiro Suzuki, Albert Pujols are tied with 12, and A.J. Pierzynski at 9. We'll get to see him hit here with 2 strikes, and I asked CJ about facing Victor Martinez. See the foul ball here. Looks like he catches Conger. Oh, yeah. Place where he did not have the padding. Somehow it slipped in there, but CJ talked about the angle of a hitter's swing, and he said with Victor Martinez, he keeps the swing so flat through the zone for a long time. There's really not many places you can go. And he said Miguel Cabrera, there's a little bit of steepness to his swing. Alex Avila, there's a lot of steepness to his swing, but with Victor Martinez, it's a much flatter swing. And you hear that a lot about guys who are singles hitters, but Victor Martinez keeps the bat flat and can drive the ball. Dangerous hitter with 2 strikes.
The 2-2, and Martinez sends this one into the gap in right center. Cabrera to third. Second hit of the inning for the Tigers. They now have runners on the corners with 2 away for Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, this flat swing. This is a pitch that's up. A lot of people might pop it up. He gets on top of that pitch up. A lot of cases you're talking about a fly out to center field on this ball. Guy's trying to go up and get this pitch. You'll watch, once he gets the barrel in the zone, it will stay in the zone for a flatter, longer period of time and then through the ball. It's great extension. Not a lot of lift at all in that swing for Victor Martinez.
5-game hitting streak for Martinez. Always smiling, the former Angel Torrey Hunter steps in.
Always smiling, and he was happy to see his former teammates. Visiting with the Angels pregame last night for quite some time.
His son, Torrey Jr., is here in Detroit. Football player at Notre Dame, and Torrey Jr. spent some time in Mike Socha's office earlier today, visiting with his dad's ex-manager. This was 1 year ago today,
Torrey Hunter,
when Torrey Hunter returned to Anaheim for the first time with the Tigers.
That's the way you want free agent signings to turn out. I think Torrey Hunter was a better player with the Angels than he had been in Minnesota, and he was a very good player in Minnesota.
Nine seasons in Minnesota, then 5 with the Angels. This is second year as a member of the Tigers. First and third, 2 outs as Wilson misses low and away, now 2-1.
Wilson really trying to fight the command right now, just trying to settle into this game without damage being done. He's thrown about 3 or 4 pitches that have been balls as soon as they left his hand. In other words, he's missed by a lot where the hitter can just simply reject the pitch and not even thinking about having to swing at it. That's not typical of C.J. Wilson. But what you'll also see out of CJ is he'll throw lots of different pitches from lots of different angles. In other words, he can change his release point, breaking balls, fastballs, changeups. Not many pitchers can do that. In fact, he compared himself to me to guys like Orlando Hernandez, El Duque, Mike Mussina, David Cone. All guys known for sort of being inventive on the mound.
Full count.
And that's another one. That fastball just ran away from him there, where the hitter doesn't even get tempted at this pitch. You know, 2 strikes, you want to take advantage of a little bit of anxiety on a hitter to at least be around the zone, but the hitter can simply rule that one out.
That was pitch number 25. He has gone to a full count for the second time in this inning. Payoff pitch, and Hunter fouls it off. You mentioned earlier, Tom, Wilson averaging 117 pitches per start over his first 3. That leads all of Major League Baseball. And he has thrown 26 here in the first inning, with number 27 upcoming.
Yeah, pitch count not as big of a deal with CJ as it is for most pitchers. And that's because he works really hard, especially between starts. Big believer in running.
Right field. Bosch moving to his left, makes the catch. Tigers strand 2 in the bottom of the first. Here's 1-0 as we welcome into the broadcast booth a World Series champion back in 1985, 132 career wins. Now in his 13th season as color analyst for the Angels on Fox Sports West. Mark Gubicza, you have the day off. Nice of you to show up here at the ballpark.
Well, when I'm here with royalty, I'd love to be able to hang out with you guys. So it's appreciated. Yeah, right here, right next to me.
Well, the Angels lead the league in home runs, lead all of baseball, lead baseball in first inning runs, and they do it again today.
I mean, their offense, you don't have Josh Hamilton, you don't have Cole Calhoun yet. You haven't really missed a beat, no matter who Mike Scioscia has put in there as far as the lineup. They've been able to score. They've been hitting home runs. They've been more aggressive running the bases, too, going first to third. Trout's just a phenomenal player. So more speed, more aggressiveness, going back to where Mike Scioscia was successful before with that running the bases.
Howie Kendrick leads off for the Angels here in the second against Max Scherzer. Kendrick went deep twice in last night's game.
Yeah, even his approach that first at bat where he hit a home run, he was just looking to hit the ball the other way to advance Pujols to third base with no outs at that point, and he's rewarded with a home run. It was went the other way. That ball traveled in pretty good inside, yet he has such a good inside-out approach. Howie, that's when he gets on a roll, when he's able to hit the ball that way.
Up the middle, base hit center field, so the leadoff man is on for the Angels here in the second as we take it back to last night's game as Kendrick goes deep twice.
Well, he's so good, guys, just letting that ball get all the way deep in the strike zone. When he's comfortable, he's going to hit that ball well the other way, and he hasn't been great so far this year, especially at home, but on the road he's seen the ball well, and his approach has never really changed. Up the middle, like we saw there for a base hit, to the other way, which makes it difficult for a pitcher against because he can hit the ball in and he can also hit the ball away.
Well, as you know, Mark, challenging part of the schedule right now for the Angels from here to Washington to New York to play the Yankees. Everybody wants to get off to good starts, but for this team, you've seen it the last couple of years, the way they've struggled in April. How important is it for this team to stay above, keep their heads above water here for the first month of the season?
Yeah, Tom, the whole conversation in Tempe, Arizona was we have to somehow get off to a good start. Yet, there were some question marks as far as the starting rotation. I think for the most part, that's been pretty solid. Now, has the bullpen been exactly where they want it to be? No, it certainly hasn't been yet.
There's a shot to first. And the Tigers turn 2.
But when you think about this team and what they've been able to do, yes, they're at 500, still trying to get one game over 500 since the first time since last season, opening day when they beat Cincinnati. But the reality is they're getting better. They're doing things. They're catching the baseball better. Fundamentals was stressed in spring training. They're catching the ball. They're being more aggressive, like I said. They're happy with the starting rotation. They just have to figure out the pieces down in the bullpen to be more consistent.
Yeah, it's rare to see a team playing without a left-hander in the bullpen, which is what the Angels are doing today. Where do you see the bullpen when Mike Scioscia has it lined up the way that he wants?
No, if you get some length out of your starters, I think the bottom line is you're going to be able to have that ability to get to Joe Smith in the 8th. That's what he wants first and foremost, and Ernesto Frieri closing. Michael Kahn has done a fabulous job now. He's getting better with his all-speed pitch. He's generally used to be this all fastballs, but now his slider's better. His changeup's been fantastic. He will probably be your guy in the 7th. Like I said, you ideally like some length from your starters, but the reality is you need those guys in that 6th and 7th inning to get you through.
Castellanos makes the catch in foul territory. A 7-pitch second for Max Scherzer. Will continue with Mark Gubicza in the bottom half.
No pitches. I like it.
Community. 30 teachers will be recognized at the 2014 All-Star Game, July 15th on Fox. Log on to allstarteachers.com to nominate your favorite teacher today. Bottom of the 2nd inning, Angels with a 1-0 lead. Austin Jackson leads off against C.J. Wilson. Jackson 1 for 3 in last night's game, and he walked twice. As we continue to chat with Angels analyst Mark Gubicza. Mark, Oakland A's first place again in the American League West.
Kenny, and I'm still scratching my head thinking, how is that possible when you think about the parts that Billy Beane has put together on that team, guys that have been released by other ball clubs, but their approach and their confidence at the plate. I mean, they're willing to be behind in the count 0-2, 1-2, and hoping at some point during that sequence they'll get a fastball to hit, and they don't miss a fastball. And their bullpen is so good.
There's a base hit up the middle for Austin Jackson, so the Tigers have the leadoff man on once again here in the bottom of the second inning. Kenny Albert, Tom Verducci, Mark Gubicza. Biggest surprise, Mark, during the first month of this baseball season?
Well, I'm even looking at Seattle right now. I mean, they're just swinging the bat. Robinson Cano, does he help them with the way he swings the bat? Yes, Justin Smoke's been much better. Certainly against the Angels, he swung the bat extremely well. But they're a little bit better balanced, and when they get some of their guys back in the rotation, they're dangerous. But you look around baseball, is there one dominant team? I mean, the Red Sox have struggled out of the gate. The Yankees have played pretty well for the most part, but it's CC Sabathia. So there's so many question marks, especially in the American League, that it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this works out in the end.
Well, you've seen every team so far in the AL West but Texas. 2 division titles in a row for Oakland. You're still not buying Oakland stock. I can tell it in your voice. How do you see the division playing out?
I mean, I still think when you think there's going to be 4 teams I think are going to be over 500 in this division. Houston is still a few years away. I think Seattle will make that step to get at least to that 500 mark. If the Angels bullpen pitches where it should, the Angels are going to be a dangerous team, especially when Hamilton gets back. But you can't discount Oakland. Again, Parker's not available. Jared Parker's not available the whole season. A.J. Griffin. Yet Jesse Chavez, he pitched extremely well. I mean, whoever they seem to be able to put in the rotation, it's been very effective.
Castellanos drives this one into the left field corner. It's out of here. 2-run home run. Nick Castellanos, his second of the season. Tigers take a 2-1 lead.
Tell you what, Castellanos is a guy that does not miss a fastball. He's extremely aggressive. I think if you threw a fastball in the dugout, he might be up there hacking. But if you make a mistake, it's going to be crushed like you saw that.
Yeah, I love the approach. I love the aggressiveness from a young hitter. Let it fly. He did a great job on that pitch from Wilson by keeping his hands in and not hooking this ball foul. Impressive-looking hitter.
That's not an easy thing to do, to be able to get your hands inside the baseball and keep it fair. A lot of guys, right-handed batters against a lefty, will pull that one foul.
Like that?
Exactly.
You get around the baseball just a little bit, and it has the hook spin to it. Watch this ball inside, pull his hands in. A lot of times you'll see that ball go foul.
I mean, that ball was off the plate end. Look how great he did as far as getting his hands inside and get the good part of the bat. No vibration in the bat, so that means he squared it up on the barrel.
th home run of the season for the Tigers. Angels, as we mentioned earlier, with a major league leading 28 home runs. J.B. Shuck with a leadoff homer today for the Angels, but it's now a 2-1 Tigers lead as Holiday fouls it off to the right side, 1-2.
Kenny, Earl Weaver would have been proud of this Angel club. They're all about that 3-run home run, although I talk about being aggressive, but the majority of their runs have been scored so far this season via the long ball. And that's something Mike Scioscia's clubs over the years have always been middle of the pack as far as home runs, but they're always up there and going first to third, stolen bases. But when you got guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, hey, you take advantage of it at this point.
C.J. Wilson came in with an ERA over 8 in this ballpark. I asked him about it, and he didn't know the exact numbers, but he knew the history. He said, I should like this ballpark because it does seem large, but he said, I don't. As a pitcher, Mark, where there are places where you kind of knew going in, this might be a tough day.
Yeah, in old Tiger Stadium, I'm saying, well, I knew if I made a mistake, and I was a ground ball pitcher, and that infield grass, it took a rocket to get through that infield grass back in the day at the old Tiger Stadium. But I never gave up many home runs normally. But when I went into Tiger Stadium, it was in my mind that if I made a mistake, it was going to be hit out of the ballpark. And inevitably, I would give up a couple home runs. So if somebody was on base, it was going to be a 2 or 3 run home run. So stadiums come into play. If you're successful in the ballpark, like say pitching in Oakland, you always felt comfortable as a pitcher going in, especially at night because the ball wouldn't carry. You're more aggressive. But down the lines here at Comerica Park, I think the ball carries well. So that plays against CJ because he throws that cutter in against righties. He can hook it down the line. Same thing if he makes a mistake on the inner half against a right-handed or left-handed batter, you can get out down the lines.
Tigers with a 2-1 lead. Kenny Albert, Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal joined here in the second inning by Angels analyst Mark Gubicza, who will have the call of tomorrow's game, the series finale on Fox Sports West. Strike one to Andrew Romine, Mark, who spent 7 years in the Angels organization, acquired by the Tigers in late March.
Very good glove, smart player. And he can play third base, shortstop, second base. He's always going to prevent runs with his glove. He gave up switch hitting just a few years ago. Now back to hitting from the right side, trying to be able to put the ball in play. More of a situational guy as far as with the bat. He's going to hit and run more so and lay down a bunt. But he got a hit yesterday against Jerry Weaver through the hole between first and second.
I still look at that position as under review for Detroit, the shortstop position. So far, no home runs, a 156 batting average. I'm not sure that either Romine or Alex Gonzalez is the long-term answer.
Yeah, I think when you look at the American League, you can't really afford to have a position like that because everyone can swing the bats in the American League. You can't afford to have a so-called guy that's going to be an out for you. It's almost like not quite having a pitcher in that spot, but if you're not going to be able to do things as far as driving and runs, it slows you down as far as the club being able to come back in ball games when a pitcher is dealing against you.
One away with Holiday on at first as Davis steps in. Singled to center his first time up and then was caught stealing. All right, Mark, you get to watch Mike Trout day in, day out. What continues to surprise you about Mike after seeing him for 2 full seasons?
Yeah, Kenny, I'm always a guy that's so hesitant to say he's the best player I've ever seen because he hasn't done it for a long period of time, but he's the best player I've ever seen. And even had a conversation with Al Kaline, the Hall of Famer, yesterday about Trout. And the thing he said, he goes, there's people comparing him to Mickey Mantle. Well, he said that he's a better player than Mickey Mantle. That's how Mickey Mantle had more power. Looks like on the backswing itself, got Nick Conner the other day got hit straight on the hand with a foul ball at home. So the catchers that's why as a pitcher you always got to take care of your catcher.
See the follow through, catches him here. The bat came right out of his hand. We've already seen Conner get hit on the shoulder with a foul ball. You saw the strikeout pitch to Romine bounced and hit him on the bare hand. And now he's going to get a piece of wood on the shoulder.
So you want to be a catcher,
And it's only the second inning.
That's a tough position. Really, I mean, when you think of that, especially with CJ, who will bounce a lot of pitches in the dirt when he gets ahead of the count or throw a fastball wide off the corner. So you always have to be on your toes as a catcher. And it's not easy. Then you deal with the foul tip and then a swing in which the batter loses the bat and hits you in the arm. So there's so many things that come into play as a catcher. I'm glad I never was.
Never wanted to be?
No. I took care of every time we went on the road, I would take my catchers out to dinner because I knew I was going to abuse them during the course of the season with a slider in the dirt or, of course, cross up them on a pitch where I couldn't see the signal being put down.
Do you do the same with your broadcast partners?
Yes, I do.
Take them out to dinner?
Yes.
Abuse them throughout the season and then buy dinner?
That's how you keep friends.
Well, both managers, Mike Scioscia and Brad Ausmus, know a thing or two about catching.
Yeah, they do. And they also know how to handle a pitcher because they have to go out there with those conversations out on the mound, which I think the fun thing would be is sometimes to mic up either a catcher or a pitcher during the course of those conversations, even if you bring your pitching coach out. Some are good conversations. A lot of them really aren't necessarily the fun ones.
2-2 on Davis. Now, you talked about Mike Trout as perhaps the greatest player you've ever seen. Who was the greatest player you ever played with? Would it be George Brett?
George Brett, no doubt. I think just the way he went about his business. If he hit a ground ball to second base, and it's going to be a routine out, he was flying as hard as he could down the line, even if he would equivalent to hitting the ball in the gap and he was thinking a triple. He played the game the way you should play. And I think that's the thing you learned when you came up in the Royals organization was watching Hal McRae and George Brett play the game of baseball. You had no other choice but to play the game as hard as you possibly could. And it was a joy to watch them guys swing the bat. But George was just a phenomenal hitter. He could be 0 for 12, and all of a sudden he'd get a good swing together, And then next thing you know, he's got 5 hits in a game, and he was not satisfied if he had 5 hits because he wanted 6 hits in that game. And that's what you try to tell some younger players. When you get 3 hits, think of 4, because somewhere down the road you're going to go 0 for 4. If you went 4 for 4, 0 for 4, that's still 500.
Do you see some of those same traits in Mike Trout as well? And I'm thinking about the smile that you see a lot from Mike Trout.
No doubt. And when Torrey Hunter was here, the conversations and the things he learned from Torrey, now you see him always talking to Albert Pujols. And I mean, having 2 teachers with you as a young player makes you that much better. Add in the talent that he has, then all of a sudden he always wants to learn. I mean, he'll have a game where pitchers pitch him inside and get him out. Well, then he'll make that adjustment. He'll sneak back a little bit off the plate and look in like he did here the other day and hit a home run on a fastball in. So he does those things and learns because he talks to people. And that's the most important thing for a young player.
Here's Torrey chatting with Castellanos, who homered earlier this inning, a 2-run shot off C.J. Wilson. And for Wilson, this is pitch number 50 as Davis pops it up. Now 2 away. Mark Gubicza, enjoy the telecast tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by during the second inning of today's game.
I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, seeing you guys here yesterday and having a conversation and you not bringing up anything about hockey, I'm happy about that.
I promised you I would not ask about your favorite team, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
He was just asking me how long till the next intermission.
All right. Thanks again, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Mark Gubicza, 2-time All-Star. World Series champion back in 1985 with the Kansas City Royals. Does a terrific job as the analyst on Angels telecasts on Fox Sports West. 2 outs, bottom of the second inning, with the Tigers leading 2-1. Ian Kinsler called out on strikes his first time up.
Yeah, I thought Mark made a great point about some of the early influences on Mike Trout when you talk about Torrey Hunter and Albert Pujols. A lot of times it's a matter of luck, which organization you wind up with, what's their clubhouse culture like when you get to the big leagues. Those are the people you're really going to learn from, those first impressions. And I was just very impressed. The day Mike Trout got to the big leagues, Torrey Hunter went out of his way to be right next to Mike Trout.
How could you not learn when you're around guys like that? Foul territory, Stewart makes the play, but the Tigers take the lead. Leadoff single by Jackson, and then Castellanos with his second home run of the season. Hashtag the new. Top of the third here in Detroit. Tigers over the Angels 2-1. As Hank Conger steps in. He's had a rough couple of innings behind the plate, Tom.
I think he's been hit by 2 foul balls already. Another ball bounced in the dirt, hit his bare hand, and got hit in the back with the backswing.
Conger takes ball 1, making his 5th start of the season. Batting .278. Foul back to the screen, 1-1.
You can always tell the catchers when a team walks into a clubhouse in their street clothes. They're the ones where their fingers go in directions they're not supposed to go.
Right.
All kinds of weird angles.
Like offensive linemen.
Exactly.
Conger, Bosch, and then Schuck for the Angels here in the third against the reigning Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer.
Haven't seen much of the curveball yet from Scherzer. He loves that pitch, especially against left-handed hitters.
Base hit into right field for Conger. As we head to Los Angeles for a game break with Ryan Field. Ryan? Thanks very much, Ryan. Blue Jays out to a 9-8 start. Tied for second in the American League East. All 5 leadoff hitters, Tom, have reached base today. Here's Brendan Bosch, the former Tiger, spent 3 years here in Detroit. Played in 23 games last season with the New York Yankees.
Yeah, that's one thing that Max Scherzer did really well. We talk about leadoff batters last year, an on-base percentage of only .271. And this year, small sample size alert, only 3 starts coming in, .450 on-base percentage leading off an inning, and obviously that's gone up today.
Bosch, a 3rd-round draft pick of the Tigers back in 2006. Began the season with AAA Salt Lake. Recalled by the Angels on Wednesday.
About the Angels with not 1 but 2 players in their lineup today who were each released last year twice. Ian Stewart and Brendan Bosch.
And another Angel as we head downstairs to Ken Rosenthal. J.B. Schuck started the season in the minor leagues.
He did, Kenny, and it was a little bit of an unusual move in that he batted .293 last year, albeit without much power. He actually got some mention in the Rookie of the Year voting, finished 5th in the American League, but numbers game being what it is, he did have to start the season in AAA. He told me that he took 2 days to drive from the Angels training facility in Tempe, Arizona, up to Salt Lake City. Kind of had to gather himself, but once he got there, he said, hey, I've got to let this go. And baseball being baseball, what happened? He was back in the big leagues when Josh Hamilton got hurt on April 9th.
And he led off today's game with a home run. He led all American League rookies in hits last season.
Earned a ticket to AAA because of that. Yeah, it's funny how the game works, and I think especially now the way teams use rosters, there's a lot of movement back and forth, major leagues and AAA. And in this case, as Kenny mentioned, it was really the mistake, I'll call it, of Josh Hamilton of choosing to slide into first base. It's going to keep him out probably about 6 weeks, maybe longer.
That slide brought J.B. Schuck back up to the major leagues. The 2-2 to Brendan Bosch. Fouled off to the left side. A leadoff single for Conger. Bosch at the plate with Schuck waiting on deck. Center field, Austin Jackson. One away. And Tom, we spoke to Mark Gubicza about the Angels' start, 8-8 over their first 16 games. They have not been above the 500 mark this season. In fact, they have not been above 500 since opening day last year.
That's amazing to think about that. The talent this team has. 7 months of baseball, basically. You're trying to get back above the 500 mark for the first time. Again, April has been their bugaboo. I think, there's an old saying in the game that you can't win a pennant in April, but you sure can lose one. And they've had to play the last couple of years going uphill. (9-17) in April last year, 8-15 in 2012.
Mike Trout on deck. J.B. Schuck at the plate. Led off the game with a home run. Third of his career. His second leadoff home run.
There's that big curveball I was talking about with Scherzer. That's something he added just in the last 2-3 years. As I said, he really likes throwing it to left-handed hitters, and that's not just, as it was in that case, a kind of free strike, if you will. First pitch, throw it for a strike type curveball. He can also break it off to get swings and misses out of the zone.
Fastball missing away, now 1-1.
That's what I really like about Max Scherzer, Kenny, is that he continues to evolve as a pitcher and just get better and better in so many different areas. You talk about command of the slider, confidence in the curveball. He's worked extremely hard at holding runners, is very good about defending the running game.
There goes Conger. Schuck pops it up, foul territory. Out of play.
Mike Scioscia playing a little hit and run right there. On the 1-1 count, confident that Schuck can put the ball in play or at least make contact against the strikeout pitcher.
Schuck, originally drafted by Houston in the 6th round back in 2008, attended Ohio State University. The 1-2 from Scherzer, deep right field, and the catch is made by Torrey Hunter at the edge of the warning track. So Schuck, who does not have a lot of power, a home run in the first inning, and a deep fly ball to right here in the third.
Well, it's interesting. Max hadn't seen Schuck before today, and that's twice now that Schuck has squared up inside fastballs. I think it's time for plan B the third time around.
Scherzer won the battle with Trout back in the first inning. Struck him out swinging. Trout with 2 doubles in last night's game. Drove in a couple of runs.
Tough to get this guy to chase out of the strike zone. Each year in his young career, the pitches per plate appearance have gone up. Well above 4 this season so far. Max kind of shaking his head there. Maybe thought it was a strike, but also, again, you're not going to get Mike Trout, especially early in the count, to swing at this pitch. This is a pitcher's pitch. Mike Trout, and I'll put Buster Posey in this class as well. They don't swing at what they can hit. It takes tremendous discipline to say that. It sounds obvious, but not as easy to execute.
Two balls, one strike, two outs, top of the third inning. Conger with a leadoff single, the runner on first. The 2-1 from Scherzer fouled off to the right side. Now 2-2.
Scherzer has pretty much stayed away from Mike Trout during this at bat, and Mike told me a little bit surprised this year. A lot of teams are trying to pound him inside. That doesn't bother him at all. In fact, he's got a much higher percentage of his hits this year to the pole field. Not so much a change in approach as you see right here. That's his extra base hits, doubles and home runs, and triples to left field has gone way up because he's being pitched inside more.
Called strike three. Trout strikes out for the second time. Not happy with the home plate umpire, Phil Cuzzy. Miguel Cabrera will lead off for the Tigers when we return. Back to Detroit. Well, during the second inning, we welcomed in a 1985 World Series champion, so why not bring in a member of the 1984 World Series champion Detroit Tigers? He's Rod Allen from Fox Sports Detroit. Day off today, Rod, but you're here at the ballpark. You'll work the game tomorrow. And Nick Castellanos providing the long ball for the Tigers to give Detroit a 2-1 lead.
That's a great swing by Castellanos. That's one of the things they've tried to encourage him to do a little bit more of, and that's when he gets himself in those fastball-friendly counts, as he was there, 2 balls, no strikes. Go ahead and turn on it. He has such a classic inside-out swing to right center field, and he does that very well, but they loved the fact that he turned on that C.J. Wilson pitch.
Miguel Cabrera on the first pitch of the inning reaches base as it could not be handled by the ex-Tiger in right field, Brennan Bosch.
That's one of those plays right there where Bosch comes in. I don't know exactly what happened, but it looked like the ball hit right off. The glove hit him in the chest, actually. That play obviously has got to be made. Hopefully the Tigers can capitalize there.
Yeah, it looked to me like he just didn't have a good read on that ball the entire time.
And one of the things that Brennan Bosch did struggle with in his tenure here with the Tigers, he did struggle defensively.
Error charge to Bosch, allowing Cabrera to reach. So the leadoff man has reached base in all 6 half innings.
One of those kinds of games.
Fastball missing away to Victor Martinez, who singled his first time up. How about the start to the season for Miguel Cabrera? Rod, only 5 extra base hits over the first 13 games.
He'll be fine. Teams are pitching Miggy a little bit differently these days. A lot of fastballs away from Miggy. Miguel has another one of those swings where he drives the ball to right field very efficiently. And it's a little bit more difficult to drive that ball the opposite way. That's a fastball in the mid-90s outside versus teams trying to come inside. It's easier to drive that ball the opposite way on fastballs inside. So he's been rolling over a lot to the shortstop and the third baseman, but he's also been working in the cage before games, and his track record's pretty good. I think he's going to figure it out.
And how about your overall read on this Tigers team? I know it's been difficult early on because of the off days. C.J. Wilson again losing a pitch up and away. What do you see early on from the Tigers, especially with the change in manager, such a big change from Jim Leyland to Brett Ausmus?
Well, Ausmus is really cool, calm, and collected. And I think that the one thing that he understands is that he inherited a really good baseball team. So in spring training, they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of laughs in the clubhouse before a lot of their workouts in the morning. He knows he has Miguel Cabrera in that lineup, Victor Martinez, an outstanding starting staff. He's not going to get in the way of that. He's going to let guys kind of play, and I think that's going to be working to his advantage. But it's a totally different team this year. They have some speed in Rajai Davis, who has stolen already quite a few bases. Ian Kinsler is playing some really good baseball right now. Prince Fielder no longer here, as you know. Johnny Peralta not here. Omar Infante no longer here. So they have to figure out ways to score runs differently than they did the last couple of seasons.
3-1 on Martinez, with Cabrera now in scoring position following the wild pitch by C.J. Wilson.
You know, we're so used to saying the Tigers are the team that beat, and they have been for years in this division. But with an improved Kansas City team, Cleveland coming off a 90-win season, where do you see this division, Rod?
I still think the Tigers are the class of the division, but they have taken a step back for the reasons I just mentioned. No Prince Fielder anchored right there behind Miguel Cabrera. That's a big bat. That's one of the best left-handed power bats in the game. The other guys are pretty good. Talking about the Kansas City Royals, they really have a lot of talent, but they haven't proven that they can win yet. Their bullpen is not going to be as good as it was last year. That's a huge missing piece. Luke Hochevar, who had Tommy John surgery. So that bullpen's not going to be the same. They need guys like Moustakas and Hosmer and Butler to hit for power, and they need Escobar to be consistent at shortstop. They need Kane in the outfield to stay healthy. If they do that, they'll give the Tigers a run, but I don't think they're a better team than Detroit. Cleveland's interesting. The Tigers just saw the Cleveland Indians, and they are a good team led by Terry Francona. They've got some veteran players. They've got some hard throwers in that bullpen. And they're a confident bunch this year after winning 92 games last year. So I think the Tigers and the Cleveland Indians are going to play a lot of really tough games this year, as they did a couple of days ago when the Tribe were in town.
Tigers now with 2 on, nobody out, following the walk to Martinez. Torrey Hunter at the plate, fly to right his first time up. Cabrera, the runner on second. Martinez over at first. J.B. Shuck, leadoff home run for the Angels in the first inning. Nick Castellanos, 2-run home run for the Tigers in the second. Wilson to Hunter, ball 1. You mentioned some of the new additions, but how about the veteran presence of Torrey Hunter now in his third season with the Tigers?
He's really figured out how to hit the last few years from a batting average standpoint, driving the ball the opposite way. And this situation is perfect for him, to drive something the other way to see if he can get Miguel in with a base hit. He did it a bunch last year. He's an unselfish player. He's one of those guys that has taken Jackson under his wing, Jackson the center fielder, even though Jackson's an outstanding defender. Torrey's the captain out there and kind of leads by example. Wonderful in the clubhouse. It was a real nice addition when the Tigers decided to give him a 2-year contract after he hit the free agent market last year. You can see by that last swing right there, he was trying to hit something the opposite way there. And take a look at the bat angle here taken by Torrey Hunter.
Seems just such a smart hitter, situation-dependent hitter. Did a great job in the 2-hole. Now I think he's got a little more RBI opportunities or responsibilities without Prince Fielder in the lineup this year. He's used to that.
Well, there's no doubt. Yeah, he's hitting back in the middle of the order as he did when he was playing for the Minnesota Twins in his first couple of years for the Los Angeles Angels.
Center field, Mike Trout. One away. Cabrera on his way to third. And the throw beats Miguel Cabrera. So the Angels turn 2.
I think he was trying to catch Mike Trout napping a little bit here, but Mike can hear from his fellow outfielders that a tag is in order, and he's not surprised at all.
Well, that's why Mike Trout is such a heads-up baseball player.
Well, here comes Brad Ausmus, and you wonder if he might challenge this play.
I think it looks like a good challenge to me.
It looks like Miguel may have gotten that left foot in there.
And that's the point, Rod, is that the game has changed because of replay. In other words, you really have to be deliberate.
He's safe.
And you really do have to get the tag on the player before he gets to the base. Back in the day, talk about last year, ball beat you, you were generally called out.
Yeah, but back to Miguel for just a moment there. He's not the fastest base runner on the Tigers team, obviously. But he has outstanding base running instincts. And what he thought he was going to do there is, just as you said, catch Mike Trout kind of napping nonchalantly in the outfield before throwing that ball home. But Mike Trout made a good throw. But I think this may get overturned.
We spoke about the replay system, Tom, with Brad Ausmus prior to the game. Matt Martin is back in the video room just behind the Tigers dugout. He takes a look at the replays. Although you would think that from the third base dugout, Brad would have had a good look at that tag live.
I think so. What's great, too, is you can hear in the background the fans respond. Now they're able to see these plays on the video board in the ballpark. And I always thought that was a real gaping hole in the game where your paid customers were deprived of replays that the guy at home got to see. So they're reacting. They think Tiger fans believe this will go their way. And they're right.
So the original call has been reversed.
Well, it changes the whole complexion of the inning. And now you have runners on first and third with 1 out instead of a runner on first with 2 outs. See, those are some of the things that really go unnoticed about a Miguel Cabrera if you don't watch him on a daily basis. When you see him on the highlight shows, he's always hitting home runs, always hitting doubles, winning MVPs, but you don't see the other base running instincts and some of the other intangibles that he brings to the game.
Now keep in mind that because the challenge was correct, the Tigers still have a manager challenge available to them.
Absolutely.
Obviously a big base to get to third base here with less than 2 outs. Gives Austin Jackson a shot at an RBI with a fly ball to the outfield. At the same time, C.J. Wilson is extremely good at inducing ground balls in these situations.
Austin Jackson singled and scored his first time up. First and third, only 1 out following the review. It took 1:15 seconds. Not bad.
Austin Jackson off to a really nice season, batting .313, batting lower in the lineup these days after being the leadoff hitter his first few years in the big leagues for Jim Leyland. But with the additions of Rajay Davis and Ian Kinsler at the top, Jackson now can bat lower. And because of that, he's kind of retooled his swing. Jackson hitting a lot more fly balls these days, a lot more gap shots, and one of those would be great for him right now to elevate something deep enough to score Cabrera.
Jackson is tied for the league lead in sacrifice flies. Currently only going with 3. Cabrera the runner on third. Martinez over at first. Angels thought they turned 2. Cabrera initially ruled out on the throw from Trout. But the Tigers challenged the play. And Cabrera got his foot in prior to the tag from Stewart. Foul back to the screen. 1-2 on Austin Jackson.
See CJ trying to get him to roll over on something or keep it down in the zone. As you said, Rod, Austin wants to elevate something here. CJ Wilson, since 2010, has thrown more ground ball double plays than any pitcher in baseball except Felix Hernandez.
This one is in the air, right center. Catch is made by Bosch. Here comes Cabrera. He will score on the sacrifice fly. RBI number 7 on the season for Austin Jackson. Thanks to the new video challenge system, the Tigers have taken a 3-1 lead.
And the aggressive base running by the best offensive player in the game, that would be Miguel Cabrera.
Well, the Tigers are now 3 for 5 in challenges this season. You see the numbers in all of Major League Baseball.
Already quite a few.
So the Tigers now lead 3-1. Here's Nick Castellanos, who homered his first time up, a 2-run shot back in the second inning.
He's going to be a really good big league hitter. When you come to the major leagues, a lot of times the young kids are pull hitters. They really don't know how to drive the ball the other way. You have to work on that once you've gotten into pro ball and up to the big leagues. But Castellanos came to pro ball knowing how to drive the ball the other way, and he's carried that to the big leagues. That's why it was really encouraging his first time up to hit that home run to left field.
Yeah, I saw him in the Arizona Fall League a couple years ago. Rod, saw the same thing. It reminded me a little bit of David Wright with that, just the natural, not just going the other way, but with power, juicing the ball out to right center. There's no doubt that he's big enough to develop into a big home run guy. I think he's going to be a good RBI guy.
You just have to pick your spots. When you get yourself in counts like this, you have to look for the fastball and cheat on it and get yourself a good swing at it.
Down the right field line, foul. 2-1 on Nick Castellanos as Martinez heads back to first.
They thought so highly of Castellanos when they signed Prince Fielder to a free agent contract a couple of years ago. They moved Castellanos to the outfield because Cabrera moved to third base. But now with Prince being traded, they moved Castellanos back into the infield. So he's just really getting comfortable again at third base. And, of course, Miguel is back over at first.
Ground ball to the shortstop, Ibar. Inning comes to an end. Tigers score a run. Ron Allen of Fox Sports Detroit, thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy the broadcast tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Good job.
Member of the 1984 World Series champion Detroit Tigers. Tigers lead this game 3-1. exciting network card in UFC history, featuring heavyweight contenders Fabricio Verdum and Travis Brown, plus Liz Carmouche taking on Miesha Tate, and Cerrone battles Barboza. It all starts tonight, 5 Eastern, with the live prelims on Fox Sports 1. Then turn over to Fox at 8 p.m. for the main card. Top of the 4th inning here in Detroit, as Albert Pujols leads off against Max Scherzer and takes a called strike. Pujols struck out his first time up, just 1 for 9 lifetime against Scherzer.
Where they play Albert on the left side of the infield, it's almost like a late innings protective 1-run lead alignment where you're playing no doubles. That data shows how often Albert pulls the ball, especially on the ground to the left side. Very rarely anymore will you see him go the other way. In fact, his last opposite field home run was September 1st, 2011.
Wow.
Almost 300 games ago. And he was a guy who used to leave fairly often to right center field and right field. I think his power is back, Kenny, because he's got his legs underneath him, but it's more pull power than it is all field power.
So that means he has not hit one as a member of the Angels.
Not to right field.
Payoff pitch to Pujols, ball 4. So the leadoff man is on once again. There is Pujols' first career home run off Armando Reynoso back in 2001, number 100 off Odalis Perez. Hit number 200 in 2005 against the Reds, number 300 off Bob Howry of the Cubs in 08. And then Jordan Zimmerman of the Nationals allowed career home run number 400 in August of 2010. 3 away from joining an illustrious club.
And that's a big deal. I mean, it seems like it's crazy I need to even say that, because I think a lot of people aren't giving it enough attention and respect. 500 home runs. You still have fewer players with 500 home runs than 3,000 hits. I understand some guys associated with PEDs have pushed the numbers of the club, 500 club and 600 club, higher than what we expect it to be. But that is still a very exclusive club.
Only 25 players in Major League history have hit at least 500 home runs. Eddie Murray is next on the list with 504. Ibanez behind, 0-2. Called out on strikes his first time up.
And the game continues to evolve. I mean, no one seems to be bothered when you had 8 players who debuted in the 1950s, when we only had 16 teams, who wound up hitting 500 home runs. It's not just a function of expansion or PEDs. It's still a very exclusive club in this game.
Two and 2 on Ibanez. And Ken Rosenthal, not only does Pujols hit home runs, but he has a tremendous career batting average as well.
Well, Kenny and Tom, that's the main thing to remember about Pujols. He's not just a home run hitter. He is a great hitter, period. And I had Stats look up this statistic last night, in fact. There are only 3 members of the 500 home run club, Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, and Jimmy Fox, who had higher lifetime batting averages than Pujols' current 321. It tells you all you need to know about Albert and the kind of hitter that he has been.
Sure does. Thanks, Ken. There are the numbers. Ted Williams, 344 lifetime average. Babe Ruth, 342. Jimmy Fox, 325.
Pretty good list right there, huh? No, I mean, listen, especially in this day and age where players are more than willing to sacrifice the strikeouts for power. And I mentioned this earlier, the most years with fewer than 80 strikeouts. Albert Pujols is tied with Ichiro among active players with 12 seasons. Ichiro probably doesn't surprise you because you think of that contact type hitter as a guy who's not going to strike out. But a 500 home run hitter, that's select company indeed. That's an exclusive club within the club, Kenny. You talk about that kind of batting average, contact ability, and power.
Howie Kendrick singled his first time up. 3 hits last night, including 2 home runs. And looking at those batting averages, Tom, I think Babe Ruth's .342 average is the most amazing to me of all those guys when you consider how many times he struck out and the fact that he also won 94 games as a pitcher.
Oh, by the way, one of the dominant pitchers of his era before he became a full-time position player. You know, we just saw the batting averages there, the splits on Howie Kendrick home and away. That's unusual for him. Let me give you his numbers. .292 career hitter. Over his career, .293 home, .290 on the road. .291 against righties, .293 against lefties. .292 with the bases empty, .290 with runners on base. I'd say he's fairly consistent.
So it doesn't matter where he's playing or who's pitching.
He's going to hit between .290 and .292. He's not going to hit .290 swinging at that fastball, though. That had some hair on it, up in the zone.
Fastball missing away from Scherzer. The count is full with 1 out. Top of the 4th inning. Pujols the runner on first. And Ian Stewart waiting on deck. Ball 4 to Kendrick. Second walk of the inning issued by Scherzer.
I don't know about you, but I could hear Max Scherzer up here not happy with himself. It's the second time, first Pujols and there Kendrick, where he missed with that slider down and away. Very demanding of himself, as we talked about, Kenny. His command of that slider is one of his calling cards, and it just is not pinpoint so far today.
Scherzer, the reigning Cy Young Award winner of the American League, started the All-Star game at Citi Field last July against the New York Mets' Matt Harvey. Led the American League with 21 wins a season ago. Won his first 13 decisions. 2 on, 1 out. Ian Stewart at the plate. Bounced into a double play his first time up. Stewart did not play in the major leagues last season, but he worked hard. Worked with Rod Carew during the offseason, Don Baylor during spring training. And we send our best to Don for a speedy recovery. Suffered the broken leg on opening day, catching the first pitch from Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah, Ian's a Southern California kid. You mentioned he worked with Rod Carew, the former Angel great, in the offseason. Rod Carew recommended him to the Angels organization, as did Don Baylor, who was the hitting coach in Colorado when Stewart had some of his better seasons. Hit 25 home runs at the age of 24.
That was back in 2009 with the Rockies.
Said this spring was the first time he went to camp where he needed to win a job. And he did, to his credit.
Two and 2 on Stewart. And Mike Scioscia told us he is in daily contact with Don Baylor. They either text with each other or speak on the phone every day. Full count. Eric Ibar on deck. 2 on, 1 out.
Yeah, big pitch here from Max Scherzer. You've seen him start to dial up the velocity a little bit here in this high leverage situation. See 94 during this at bat. See if he goes back to that heater. This is a guy who came out of the chute today throwing 91, 92. It's pretty much where he's been in April, but he's finding an extra gear in this inning.
Payoff pitch to Stewart. Tigers get the force at second. So the Angels now have runners on the corners with 2 away.
Well, he went to the changeup and got the ground ball that he wanted. Just a little bit of a bobble cost any shot at a double play.
70 pitches thrown by Scherzer over 3 2/3.
Yeah, and the key for me, Kenny, there is many of those pitches out of the stretch position because the leadoff runner has been on in each inning.
Leadoff man is reached in every inning for both teams. Pujols on third, Stewart over at first. Ibar, the switch hitter, batting from the left side against the right-hander Scherzer. Fouled out to the third baseman Castellanos, his first time up. Scherzer missing low and inside. Now 2-1 to Ibar.
And give the Angels credit when we talk about that pitch count. Showing very good discipline. A lot of Max's misses have not been by a whole lot.
Pitch low and inside. Throw down to second is in time. Stewart is tagged out to end the inning. Middle of the fourth here in Detroit. One more look on the throw from the catcher Brian Holiday. And now Mike Scioscia is out. Scioscia out for a conversation with the second base umpire Quinn Wolcott. Perhaps stalling as Nick Francona, who is his video man, takes a look at it back in the Angels clubhouse.
That's exactly what it is. You can call it stalling, you can call it waiting, whatever it is. It's accepted practice now that the manager goes out and is waiting thumbs up or thumbs down signal from the dugout whether to challenge or not. In this case, we got a thumbs up.
And remember, after the third out, you must head out immediately if you're thinking about challenging, which Mike Scioscia did.
It looks like to me that he's in there. Again, this is where the game has changed. And I think you're going to see, and you're already beginning to see, where infielders really need to be, as Mike Scioscia said, very deliberate with the tag. See this tag? It's a little too high. You see the gloves start to come up. And the new practice in the game is when you catch this baseball, you see where the glove is right here? It's a little too high, and it winds up on the knee. Whereas the accepted practice now, and almost you have to retrain yourself as an infielder, is to make sure you have that glove basically in the dirt, certainly in front of the bag, and make sure you tag the foot and not the shin or the knee. 2013, that's an out, no questions asked, and there's no even argument on the field. 2014 with replay, you literally have to get the tag on the player before he touches the base.
Now keep in mind, the initial call on the field was out. There must be conclusive evidence The question is, when did the glove hit the knee? It looks like Stewart's foot did hit the base first. Max Scherzer, meanwhile, continues to warm up with his catcher Holiday. All of the other Tigers have gone into or towards the dugout, and the ruling is safe. So the inning will continue. It's a stolen base for Stewart. Mike Scioscia's challenge is successful, so he still has another. And that is the first successful challenge by Scioscia this season. He is now 1 for 2.
You know, it's one of the things, and we all knew the first year of this system, you can't anticipate every possibility or scenario. One thing I did not anticipate is the fact that the game will be and is being played differently. In other words, these tags by infielders now must be extremely deliberate and much lower than they were in the past. There was a general understanding if the ball beat you and you applied the tag, even if it was high, the umpire would call you out. That no longer applies.
For Ian Stewart, his first stolen base since the 2011 season with the Colorado Rockies. Not play last year. Spent 2012 with the Cubs. And now a called strike 2, so a full count with Ibar getting a reprieve. Second and third, 2 outs. Pujols the runner on third. Stewart takes his lead off second, a big lead. Payoff pitch to Ibar. Ground ball to the right side. And it is ruled foul, so Ibar stays alive. th pitch of this inning from Scherzer. And he strikes out Ibar to end the inning. Inning extended by the challenge. Tigers lead 3-1 behind Max Scherzer, Castellanos, and Cabrera. To you by Bank of America.
There's some crooked numbers up there for both pitchers. Has not been easy. The biggest number that you don't see is leadoff runners allowed.
Every one of them.
Every one.
7 half innings, 7 leadoff men have reached.
You would think the score would be much greater than it is at 3-1, given that.
Brian Holiday leading off for the Tigers. Infield hit back in the second inning. Fouled off to the right side, 0-1. Holiday making his second start behind the plate this season for the Tigers. Played in 16 games last year. Alex Avila has the day off. The 0-1 from Wilson. Missing inside, now 1-1.
Yeah, you see the pitch count there on Wilson at 74. And again, he can go deep into games, but
right back to the box. Wilson to Ibanez to retire the leadoff man for the first time today as we head to Los Angeles for a game break with our leadoff man hosting the pregame show, Ryan Field. All right, thanks very much, Ryan. One away here in the bottom of the fourth inning from Comerica Park. Tigers lead the Angels 3-1 as Andrew Romine takes a called strike. We mentioned earlier, spent 7 years in the Angels organization. His brother Austin spent a good portion of last season with the Yankees, currently in AAA, played in one game for the Yankees this year. And their dad, Kevin, a former Boston Red Sox.
Great opportunity for Romine here. Alex Gonzalez was also acquired within days of Romine when Jose Iglesias, the incumbent shortstop for the Tigers, out for the season with shin splints. See him take strike 3 right there. And again, it's an opportunity, but at the same time, I think the Tigers have to have one eye on the player availability market to address that position at some point.
You wouldn't be talking about a fellow by the name of Stephen Drew, would you?
A lot of people in Detroit talking about that name. Obviously, he's still available as a free agent, as he was all winter long. Some people are speculating maybe not until after the draft in June, when the draft pick compensation would go away.
Davis falls behind, 0-2.
Yeah, you see him pounding the zone this inning. I started to make the point about his pitch count. He needs really to get length out of him a quick inning where he does get that average of innings pitched pitches per inning down.
72 pitches thrown by Wilson over the first 3. 10 so far here in the fourth. Wilson in his 3 starts this season, 114, 120, and 116 pitches. He has won his last 2 starts.
By the way, that's 3 of the top 8 in the league this year by C.J. Wilson at pitch count. He told me that kind of mentality and the work he puts in between starts really goes back to when he was in Texas. Was always trying to convince the Rangers to make him a starting pitcher. And with Nolan Ryan as team president, he decided to show him he'd work as hard as Nolan Ryan worked. Of course, Nolan Ryan known to be one of the hardest working pitchers, especially when it came to working his legs and running and lifting. And eventually he did make that Texas rotation and has been a workhorse starter ever since.
2-time All-Star in 2011 and 12. Won 17 games last year, a career high, tied for 3rd in the American League. Two to Davis, missing away. So Davis fell behind, 0-2. The count is now full with 2 outs. Bottom of the 4th inning here in Detroit. Tigers out on top, 3-1. Payoff pitch to Davis, ball 4. So a 2-out walk issued by Wilson, his second base on balls today.
Both of those pitches, a pattern we've seen from C.J. Wilson. Ball 3 and ball 4, both fastballs that he just left up and away. In other words, just not having the right release point on the fastball here. He knows it. Had a chance for a quick inning. 0-2 on the hitter and loses him. Again, just that release point, letting the ball go a little bit too soon as a left-hander, losing it up and away to a right-hander.
Remember Davis with 6 steals this year. He was caught stealing back in the first inning.
And ran early in the count on first pitch, which is even more in order here with 2 outs.
Kinsler at the plate, 0 for 2. Struck out on the first, fouled out on the second.
And you saw C.J. Wilson go to the slide step there. Quickened up his delivery to the plate, and obviously that can have an effect on your command.
Slow roller to the right side. Wilson has it. He will tag out his former teammate to end the inning. Renaissance Center here in Detroit. Tigers 3-1. Some of baseball's biggest stars are scheduled to visit and appear in Fan Cave videos. Check out all the latest Cave happenings at MLBFanCave.com. Follow the MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.com for details. 3-1 lead for the Tigers as Hank Conger leads off for the Angels here in the top of the 5th inning against Max Scherzer. Takes a called strike. Conger led off the 3rd inning with a base hit into right field. The leadoff man has reached base for the Angels in all 4 innings. Conger with a shot to right. Hunter coming on, makes the play to retire Conger. The Game Changer Profile brought to you by T-Mobile, official sponsor of Game Changers. The reigning Cy Young Award winner in the American League, All-Star Game starter, career record of 64 and 31. Looking for his first victory here in 2014 as Brendan Bosch fouls it back. As we head downstairs to Ken Rosenthal. Ken, were you surprised that Scherzer turned down the 6 years, $144 million?
I would say yes and no, Kenny. Yes, because that's an awful great sum of money, and players throughout the game raised their eyebrows at it. John Lester even said, that would be hard for me to walk away from. John Lester was offered less than half that by the Boston Red Sox, 4 years, $70 million. Now, I would say I'm not surprised because Scherzer is represented by Scott Boras. Scott Boras generally prefers his clients to go out into the open market. And Scherzer is a smart guy, he's a confident guy, and clearly here he is not afraid of the risk. He's into numbers, he likes to weigh odds, and the odds will be in his favor if he stays healthy and gets to the market. But my question, Tom, is how much more is he going to get?
Well, that's a great point, Kenny, because I look at Justin Verlander with a $180 million contract. You see Scherzer really had that changeup working the last couple of innings. I don't think his pay grade is going to be above Justin Verlander. I could be wrong. If you put him on a free agent market, it might be. But essentially, you're talking about maybe risking that 144 to gain another, what, 25, 30 million possibly? Now, I thought you made a great point, Kenny. He's a very analytical guy, Max Scherzer. Looks at the game really and studies everything about even the business side of the game. So he is well informed in making that decision to turn down the money.
Nice play by Kinsler as Schuck is retired to end the inning. Our first 1-2-3 inning of the afternoon. For the Angels, 3 runs on 5 hits for the Tigers. There have been 2 challenges in the game, both successful.
Home runs, challenges, caught stealings. A lot going on in this game.
And now the heart of the order for the Tigers here in the 5th. Cabrera, Martinez, and Hunter to face C.J. Wilson. Miguel Cabrera has reached base twice, walked in the first, reached on an error, came around to score in the third. First pitch, fastball in for a called strike, 0-1.
It's a pitch again. Similar pattern there. When he goes to that four-seam fastball, just letting it go a little too early.
Wilson up to 92 pitches. Cabrera leading off for the Tigers here in the fifth. Now 2-2. Victor Martinez waiting on deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Miguel Cabrera, the American League MVP each of the last 2 seasons. And he fouls it off to the right side to stay alive.
And one thing CJ told me that in terms of putting away hitters, what he stopped trying to do is to throw harder. He could do that when he was younger, especially when he pitched out of the bullpen. Now it's more about changing speeds than it is pure velocity.
Payoff pitch to Cabrera. He went around, so strikeout number 4 for C.J. Wilson as Cabrera heads back to the Tigers dugout.
You know, C.J. did talk to me about studying hitters, and he's a big believer in studying their swing paths. We talked about Victor Martinez being such a difficult out because he has a much flatter swing. But C.J. talked about all the homework that he puts in. He's always studied video, he said, but especially now there's so much more available. He enjoys putting in that work as part of his preparation. As he told me, you know, starting pitchers, we have 4 days off. It's a lot of time. So here's the swing we're talking about. Watch the barrel of the bat here from Victor Martinez and how flat it will stay through the zone. It's a very even swing, tough to put away a hitter when he's got a barrel that stays in the zone for such a long time. Now let's compare it to Miguel Cabrera, who, as CJ said, has a much steeper path to the ball. You'll watch the barrel of his bat now drop and then come up to the baseball. Much steeper swing, more of a fly ball hitter. So, not to say Miguel Cabrera is easy to put away, don't get me wrong. In terms of a pitcher, you have to know how a hitter's swing works to know what assortment of pitches work best against that swing, especially when you're someone like C.J. Wilson who can do so many things with the baseball. He has a lot of options. So matching up his stuff to the strength of a hitter is a big part of his game.
Two and two on Martinez, who has reached base twice, singled in the first, walked in the third inning. One out, bottom of the fifth. Tigers lead the Angels 3-1.
Just doesn't get any easier with this guy with 2 strikes.
Two from Wilson, and Martinez pushed it to left. No doubt about it. Home run number 3 on the season for Victor Martinez. The Tigers now lead 4-1.
see a hitter who's so comfortable with 2 strikes. This is a case where C.J. Wilson missed with the fastball. He tried to get it in, but we've seen him all day losing the baseball to the arm side. He's had a tough time getting it to glove side. And we talked the flat swing of Victor Martinez. He's got a little higher finish here. You see that? Flat through the zone, a little higher finish to drive that ball out of the ballpark. But really as a result of a pitch that C.J. Wilson wanted to get in on Martinez and just really stay in the middle of the plate. You see where Conger set up. Missed location, out over the plate, into the barrel of the bat. And once again, another fastball. He misses arm side.
Second home run of the game for the Tigers, who hit only 11 coming into this game over their first 13. To Torrey Hunter, left center field. Moving to his right is Trout, makes the catch for out number 2. So Torrey Hunter is now 0 for 3. He has flied out in all 3 of his at-bats today. Austin Jackson, single, came around to score in the second and then drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 3rd inning.
My bad. CJ knew that was a mistake in location. It wasn't the selection. It was the location. And even when Torrey Hunter hit that ball to center field, CJ kind of dropped to his knees thinking that had a shot at getting out.
4th home run allowed by Wilson this season, 2nd today. He'll slot Herrera up in the Angels' pen. There's a line drive base hit into center field. 2nd hit of the game for Austin Jackson. So with 2 outs and a runner on first, Nick Castellanos, who hit a 2-run shot off Wilson back in the 2nd inning, which gave the Tigers a 2-1 lead. It is now 4-1 Detroit. Castellanos then grounded out to short in the 3rd. Ground ball to the 3rd baseman, Stewart. That will end the inning, but the Tigers extend their lead. Solo shot off the bat of Victor Martinez, his 3rd of the season, now 4-1 Detroit. 1 doubleheader continues tonight as the Diamondbacks square off against the Dodgers. The action starts at 8 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Here in Detroit, we head to the 6th. Hometown Tigers with a 4-1 lead on the Angels. As Mike Trout leads off, he has struck out twice in today's game against Max Scherzer. Scherzer missing away, now 1-1. Mike Trout, 22 years of age. There's the left-hander Phil Koch up and throwing in the Tigers' pen. Tom Trout was born on August 7th, 1991. That was the day after the first website was created. He is 1 day younger than the World Wide Web.
That makes me feel old.
Well, Trout strikes out for the 3rd time today.
Max Scherzer done a good job getting ahead of Mike Trout and then putting him away. Here he does what's difficult to do, get Mike Trout to chase. In that case, it was the slider.
8th strikeout for Scherzer. Our Geico in-game box score. Schuck with the leadoff home run back in the 1st inning, and Trout for the 2nd time this season has struck out 3 times in a game. You can look it up on the internet.
You know, you said Phil Koch up in the Detroit bullpen. Max Scherzer now at 90 pitches. He actually broke a major league record in his last start, Kenny, that didn't get a lot of attention. Most consecutive starts at the beginning of a career without a complete game. 168. The record was held by Tony Armas back in 1999 to the end of his career in 2008.
Scherzer did pitch 9 innings once.
He did.
Back in 2010 in Minnesota, but the game went 10 innings.
Doesn't count.
Nope.
Not a complete game.
Second beach ball of the game. That's a new Fox Sports 1 record.
The all-time record at any point in a career, 193 consecutive starts by Kirk Reeder. 1999 to 2005. I get it. The game has certainly changed. Specialized bullpens, complete games are a dying statistic in the game. It's just unusual that Max hasn't completed a game.
So for Max Scherzer, a CY before a CG.
That's right. He was, in fact, the first one, I believe, that won a Cy Young without any career complete games. Jake Peavy and Roger Clemens won Cy Youngs without a complete game in that season that they won it.
One-two to Pujols. Ball 2, says the first base umpire Brian Knight.
There's no question it'll happen for Max. You know, I think he has become more efficient with his pitches, and that certainly will keep you in games. That was a problem early in his career, running up higher pitch counts. Boy, and he's really just gotten sharper as this game has gone along.
Strikeout number 9 for Scherzer.
Again, watch the location. Ball moving away, the changeup away from Albert. You see him out on that front foot. That's indication you had terrific arm speed on that pitch. When that hitter commits, sees fastball, and the ball just doesn't get there, the hitter winds up out over that front leg, and the bat goes through the zone before the ball's there.
Struck out 10 in his last start in only 5 innings in San Diego. 9 strikeouts today, including Trout 3 times Pujols twice, and Ibanez twice.
Yeah, and Ken Rosenthal talked about how intelligent and analytical Max is, and I asked him at the end of the year, is there one metric that tells you had a good year? What do you look at? And he told me strikeouts to walk rate. He said that's the one that will really tell you what kind of job you're doing. And interestingly, every year since he joined the Tigers rotation, he has improved on that strikeout to walk rate. You see it right here, up at 5 this year. That is outstanding. 5 strikeouts for every walk. He's pretty much in line with that today.
Today, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. .99 pitches for Scherzer. Full count.
Yeah, in these middle innings, that changeup has just been outstanding. Getting many swings and misses.
Payoff pitch to Ibanez. Tigers employing the shift. So Scherzer retires the Angels in order of the 6th. He strikes out Trout and Pujols. To collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, visit foxsportssupports.com. Bottom of the 6th inning with the Tigers leading 4-1. New pitcher for the Angels, 32-year-old right-hander Yoslán Herrera, who had not pitched in the major leagues since the 2008 season with Pittsburgh. He missed the 2011 and 2012 seasons and pitched in the Independent Atlantic League last year. So Herrera making his 4th appearance for the Angels this season. Will face Brian Holiday, the number 8 hitter, with Detroit out on top 4-1. C.J. Wilson in his 4th start of the season lasts only 5 innings. Allowed 4 runs, 3 earned on 7 hits through 111 pitches. Wilson, Tom, had been 5-1 in his career. in matchups against reigning Cy Young Award winners.
Wow.
His only loss came at the hands of Justin Verlander.
Well, he also had that streak of winning 10 consecutive decisions on the road. Until he ran into his least favorite road ballpark here at Comerica.
That's right. Holiday down on strikes. But C.J. Wilson had faced Zach Greinke, Roy Halladay, Felix Hernandez, R.A. Dickey, and Justin Verlander when they were the reigning Cy Young Award winners. And in those 6 starts, the only loss came against the man you just saw, Justin Verlander of the Tigers.
That's a pretty good run right there. You know, they talk about horses for courses, and for CJ, he came in with an ERA of 8.41 in 7 career games in this ballpark. It's the worst of any ballpark he's pitched in at least 2 times. It just didn't get any better for him.
Romine with a base hit into left center. On his way to second, and he is out.
You know, it's gotten to the point, Kenny, where I almost expect a challenge on these plays, because once again we had a high tag at second base. I don't mind this by Romine. I thought he ran hard out of the box to try to stretch this into 2. It was a high tag, but it looks like he got it in time before Romine got the foot on the bag.
Now remember, each manager still has a challenge available because they were both successful on their first challenges today.
Now, does that mean you would be more likely to use one since we're here in the 6th inning? And after the 7th inning, the umpires can instigate a review.
The crew chief may initiate a review in the 7th inning or later if a club is out of challenges, but managers who are out of challenges can still request a review after the 7th inning.
It's hard for me to imagine a scenario where we get it to the 7th, 8th, 9th inning and a manager requests a challenge and the umpire says, no, I'm confident I got that one right. We don't need any stinking replay. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So for a manager, I think you can feel pretty confident at the end of the game if you think there's a call that's been missed that the umpires will take another look at it.
One, 2 to Davis, high and tight. Four-1 lead for the Tigers. They chased Angels starter C.J. Wilson after 5 innings. 2 Tiger home runs. Castellanos 2-run shot in the 2nd, and then Victor Martinez in the 5th. Davis down on strikes. 6 innings in the books here in Detroit. Still 4-1 Tigers. Major League Baseball presents the walk-off. Great walk-offs are waiting at foxsports.com/Budweiser. Grab some buds. Max Scherzer's line over the first 6 innings as Scherzer is in search of his first victory this season. Action in the Tigers' pen. Ian Kroll and Albuquerque. Kroll, the left-hander. First pitch in for strike one to Howie Kendrick, who has reached base twice today. A single and a walk. Tigers lead 4-1, top of the 7th inning here in Detroit. Angels have won their last 10 against the Tigers. It's the longest active streak in all of baseball as far as one team beating another team. 10 straight for the Angels, including their 11-6 victory last night. They had an 11-1 lead before the Tigers scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Remember, this team came in today red hot with the bats.
On the ground to the right side, it's Kinsler. And Kendrick is retired.
Well, Max Scherzer can do that to you. This team, we talked about it, 27 home runs coming in, the Angels. Not only the most in the major leagues this year, but the first time in Angels history they hit so many home runs in the first 16 games. And Max Scherzer has gotten sharper and sharper as this game has gone on.
He's now retired 9 in a row. Scherzer allowed 1 base hit in each of the first 3 innings, none since. And Stewart takes a called strike, 0-1. Scherzer missing high and away, now 2-1.
But it seems like most of his swings and misses today have been on that changeup, certainly in the middle innings. He can throw that changeup in the zone and still get the swing and the miss. Doesn't have to be out of the zone.
Kinsler moving to his right. 2 away.
Well, you know he's got good stuff when you're able to strike out. Max Scherzer able to strike out Mike Trout 3 times. Look at that one. You see the target up in the zone, fastball up, go back there again. He's going to miss a little bit, but get it on the outside corner. Now the slider outside of the zone. You know, the Tigers last night, like a lot of teams, tried to get Mike Trout out on the inside part of the plate. He pulled 2 doubles into the left field corner. Not today. Scherzer has pretty much stayed away or up on Trout.
For the 3rd time this inning, an Angel grounds out to Ian Kinsler. A 1-2-3 7th for Scherzer. 7th inning stretch time in Detroit. in Detroit. Couple of challenges. Bottom of the third inning. Cabrera ruled out at third. Call is overturned. He would later score on a sacrifice fly. And then in the next half inning, top of the fourth, Stewart ruled out at second base, challenged by Mike Scioscia. That call overturned as well.
It's a brand new era, folks. The call by the umpire is no longer the final word. See the totals for the season. The Angels getting a little more involved in challenges. About a 45% rate of calls being overturned. I think managers are getting smarter about when to challenge. If it's questionable, you're probably better off not challenging. But when I talk about a new era and things being different, Kenny, you know, John Scherzer, who was on the committee that really began to introduce this system, said it's the biggest change in baseball since night baseball was introduced in the 1930s. That's how big of a change in the game he expected it to be. And when you see plays like the ones we saw today, maybe not game-changing, but the fact that the call on the field now is no longer the final word, that is a major change in the way the game is played.
There are a lot of things to like about replay, Tom. There's no question about it. The question I have is, what are the tweaks going to be? And in talking with Justin Verlander and some of the Tigers players yesterday, they don't like the manager walking onto the field, waiting for the signal from the dugout, and then, if there is no challenge, walking back in. They think there's too great a delay. So one of the things they suggested, Justin did anyway, was a buzzer. Have a manager equipped with a buzzer, buzz the umpire, and go about it that way. That's something maybe baseball will look at as we go forward. But the one thing, and this goes back to John Scherzer, this is important to remember. Baseball has said that if adjustments are necessary to the system, to rules, then those adjustments will be made. And we're going to start to see those adjustments soon, at least one of them. The transfer play, which has caused so much controversy in recent weeks. Baseball is taking a hard look at that. Baseball executives are going to talk with umpires, union members on, well, early this week, and perhaps look at that and maybe get it back to the old way.
Cabrera fouls it off to the right side after Kinsler flied out to Trout in center. Now, as far as the transfer rule, if they do amend the transfer part of replay, there were teams that perhaps lost games earlier this season with one interpretation, and then if the rule is changed midstream, it could affect other teams in a positive way. But I guess the bottom line is you want to get it right. It's a fair ball down the right field line. Extra bases for Miguel Cabrera. We mentioned earlier had only 5 extra base hits coming into this game. A one-out double here in the 7th.
Yeah, Rod Allen, the Tigers analyst, was in here earlier talking about teams pitching away more to Miguel Cabrera. That's another case. Pitch him away. Go ahead and hit it away.
And what do you think, Tom, about changing the interpretation of a rule midstream, midway through the season?
I think it's more important to get it right, Kenny, than to wait at the end of the season and say, let's play by the same rules the entire year. That sounds good until you think about the fact that it's not a good rule. And it's more important for me, looking at the way the game is being umpired and overturned, some of these calls on transfers, is to get those right. And I think it's the one thing just about everybody agrees on. Nobody likes it. And what really bothers me, Kenny, is that some of these calls are being overturned that would not even be argued last year. So It's not a matter of safe or out, fair or foul. It's a judgment call. And I understand what the umpires are doing. To me, there's nothing in the rule book that says that you need to transfer the ball to your throwing hand, but that's what they're calling. And we've seen it time and time again. This is the latest one. Well, this is in Texas, JP Arancibia. This one, you know, there were 6 steps taken by Elliott Johnson before the ball came out. How that not a catch, I don't know. This happened to the Angels in Seattle, Josh Hamilton. And then last night, the latest one, played third base in Seattle. Last year, there's no question that's an out. This year, overturned on replay, safe. So I think it's created confusion that's been unnecessary. I think it's especially confused base runners. They're not sure what to do anymore in those situations. And I think we just need to get back to what has been an out for 100 years. With balls controlled in the glove, it does not need to be then controlled in the bare hand for a second time.
Nice block by Conger. It's ball 2 to Martinez with Cabrera, the runner at second. 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Tigers lead the Angels 4-1.
Tom, that is exactly the idea. Get back to what has been the way baseball has been played for the past 100 years. And the players were so upset that union officials met with MLB executives this week, and they basically, after that meeting, got on the same page. There is agreement among baseball and the players' union that this needs to go back to what it was. And yes, even if it happens mid-season, it has to happen.
Angels intentionally walked Victor Martinez, who homered his last time up. So now first and second with 1 out for Torrey Hunter. Hunter 0 for 3 today. He has flied out 3 times. Tigers scoring 3 of their 4 runs via the home run. Nick Castellanos, 2-run shot of the second. Victor Martinez, solo homer in the 5th inning. Austin Jackson drove in a run on a sacrifice fly in the 3rd as Hunter takes a called strike from Herrera, 0-1.
And this is one reason why we talked at the top about the importance of C.J. Wilson giving length to Mike Scioscia and the Angels. They're still trying to figure out what to do in that bullpen to try to get to Ernesto Frieri, the closer.
Foul ball. Back behind 3rd. No balls, 2 strikes on Torrey Hunter. Cabrera, the runner on second. Martinez over at first. Tigers looking to even this series. It's the 5th of a 10-game homestand for Detroit. Down the right field line and foul. Josh Wall up in the Angels pen. He allowed 5 runs in last night's game in the 7th without retiring a batter.
Yeah, and if you're waiting to see a left-hander get up in the bullpen for the Angels, you'll have to wait weeks probably. They just don't have one. Sean Burnett started to throw some bullpens. They expect to have him back at some point. He's a key for them.
Popped up, left side of the infield. 2 away. Time for a game break. We head to Los Angeles. Ryan Field. Ryan. Shutout in a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium earlier this week, something that had not happened in the Major League since 1988.
They have some good position players in that organization, but most of them are in the minor leagues, unfortunately. You may see some in the second half of the season. You know, getting back to the left-handed pitching, it's very unusual, obviously, to see a bullpen with no left-handers. Some teams have 3 left-handers to play the matchup game late. Mike Scioscia telling us we really just don't have that left-handed specialist guy, the guy with maybe the sidearm delivery or the sweeping breaking ball to match up on left-handed hitters. Maybe not as important against Detroit. Very right-handed heavy lineup. But this team goes to Washington and then to New York to play the Yankees, 2 teams that have significant left-handed power, where you would love to have that matchup left-hander, at least one, for late in the game.
Austin Jackson with 2 hits, an RBI, and he scored a run. 2 on, 2 out. Tigers with a 4-1 lead. Right field. Brennan Bosch is under it. Tigers strand 2 in the 7th. Comment bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit MLB.com today. Does it come with a sausage?
I can smell it from here.
Well, the Tigers with a 4-1 lead here at home. Jalvin Chamberlain on in relief of Max Scherzer. It'll be Chamberlain's 7th appearance after 7 seasons with the New York Yankees. We spoke to Brad Ausmus, his manager, earlier, and he said Jalvin's been much crisper than during spring training. I have a lot of confidence in him.
And here he is in the 8th inning. That's how much confidence he has. He gets a high leverage situation. He pretty much had pitched himself out of these high leverage spots with the Yankees, but as Brad Ausmus was telling us, the arm speed is back. You see the fastball at 95, 96, and really the put-away pitch for him is that tilt on the slider that he has. That's back too, hard and late.
So Chamberlain will face Hank Conger, Brennan Bosch, and J.B. Shuck, the scheduled hitters for the Angels here in the 8th inning. No Angel has reached base since the 4th. Max Scherzer retired 11 in a row. The only run allowed by Scherzer came on the leadoff home run hit by Shuck, first batter of the ballgame. Scherzer allowing only 3 hits. He walked 2, struck out 9, threw a season-high 111 pitches.
Right, to me, and that's the sign of an elite pitcher, Kenny. That 4th inning, it looked like his command got a little wobbly, especially with the slider. Walked 2 of the first 3 batters that inning. And no one visited the mound, just self-correction out there on the mound. Found his release point in the arm slot. As you said, put away his last 11 hitters, and here Chamberlain keeps the streak going. And the strikeout looking.
So with 1 away, we take another look at strike 3. Chamberlain will face Brennan Bosch, teammates with the Yankees last season. Bosch today is 0 for 2. On the ground to the first baseman, Cabrera. The toss to Chamberlain, quickly 2 away. And we spoke to Brad Ausmus this morning, and as a rookie manager, asked him, did you take a little something from every one of the managers you played for? He said, I did take a lot. I also did not take certain things. And then we did a little bit of research, and Brad Ausmus, during his playing career, played for 9 different managers. And then you have Mike Scioscia on the other side, who played for only one, Tommy Lasorda.
So Tommy Lasorda taught him everything he knows about managing. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, well put. As you see the list here, I didn't realize so many different managers that Brad Ausmus played for. But he says it's not just taking away things that you could put into practice, but learning what they didn't do so well that you don't want to do. No names mentioned, of course.
These two managers spent a lot of time crouching behind home plate. Ausmus, 7th all-time, 1,938 games as a catcher. Scioscia, just under 1,400.
Amazing. And I'll say this about Brad Ausmus. Even when he was playing, and for really most of his career, certainly the latter half, when people talked about potential managers, his name always came up. I think it speaks to his intellect, his career, that he would be hired here with really no managerial experience for a team that expects to go to the World Series and win the World Series. Most times your first job, you're inheriting a poor situation. Not the case here in Detroit.
Replaced Jim Leland, who retired after 8 seasons as Tigers manager. Leland now a special assistant to general manager Dave Dombrowski. A 1-2-3-8 for Jabba Chamberlain. He strikes out 2. Tigers with a 4-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th here in Detroit. His Angels debut last night, Tom, did not record an out. All 5 batters that he faced scored a run.
You gotta like this move by Mike Scioscia. Get him back on the horse after getting knocked off. Get that ERA down from infinity. He's got good stuff. Mid-90s fastball, hard slider. This way, turn it around quickly. Get him right back out there. And hopefully he turns last night's negative into a positive.
You saw Joe Nathan up and throwing in the Tigers' pen. Nick Castellanos at the plate. 2-run homer in the second inning gave the Tigers the lead.
And you saw Albuquerque out there with him. You know, it's the one statistic in the game that drives managing late, which is the save statistic.
Right.
In other words, if the game stays here with a save in play, Nathan pitches the ninth. Tigers get a run. There's no save on the line. Albuquerque pitches the ninth.
Now, there are some pitchers, I know Koji Uehara is one, that once he's up and throwing, he basically tells John Farrell, once I'm up, I have to go in the game, no matter what the situation is.
Right. Obviously, you need to know your personnel. There's also different levels to getting up in the bullpen, different levels of stress and velocity that you'll show out there.
Off the bat of Castellanos, shallow center field. Catch is made by the second baseman Kendrick for out number 1. So Josh Wall, who did not retire a batter last night, gets the first Tiger here in the 8th. Wall, a 27-year-old right-hander who pitched in 6 games for the Dodgers last season, 7 for the Dodgers 2 years ago. Ryan Holiday steps in. Holiday 1 for 3.
And you know, it was years ago, Kenny, when I stopped worrying about the idea of the save dictating these decisions. Steve Farr, way back in the 80s, was closing for the Yankees, and I asked him why he would get the save or have to get the save with a 3-run lead. And he said, our job is so difficult and so stressful that when there's a chance to get one of those cookies, one of those easy saves, you have to give it to us.
Beautiful bunt laid down by Holiday. No throw from Wall. Infield hit.
Obviously, he saw third baseman Stewart playing back in this situation, far back actually. Big, tall pitcher on the mound. Very good execution. See the bat out in front of the plate. And the perfect angle to get it far enough away from Wall to beat this one out easily without a throw.
So a 1-out base runner for the Tigers as Andrew Romine steps in to face Wall. Romine 1 for 3 today. Struck out twice, singled in the 6th. Looking ahead, the Angels have Trout, Pujols, and Ibanez due up in the top of the 9th.
That sounds dangerous. But today, Max Scherzer did an amazing job of shutting down those 2, 3, 4 hitters.
A combined 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts. Trout has struck out 3 times. Pujols and Ibanez twice apiece. Tigers looking to break a 10-game losing streak to the Angels. Angels 6-0 against the Tigers last season. An 11-6 win for the Angels last night. August 26, 2012, the last time the Tigers were on the winning side against the Angels. Wall fires over to first once again. 2-0 to Romine in for a called strike. Now 2-1. Rajay Davis waiting on deck. Tigers with a 4-1 lead, bottom of the 8th inning. Two-one to Romine, missing low and inside, ball 3.
We talked about this bullpen being a work in progress for the Angels. Came in with an ERA of 5.26. Only the White Sox bullpen has been worse this year in the league. That's something that they're going to have to address. You know, it's somewhat of a non-sustainable model they've had these first couple of weeks with all these home runs. Can't expect them to keep hitting home runs the way they have at that rate.
Romine draws a walk. For a look at what's coming up after baseball, we head to Orlando. All right, we look forward to it, guys. And for those of you tuning in for the Fox UFC Saturday pre-fight show, we will get you out there immediately at the conclusion of the game. In the meantime, the broadcast is currently available on Fox Sports 2 and streaming live on the Fox Sports Go app and at foxsportsgo.com. 2 on, 1 out for the Tigers as Davis steps in against Wall. Holiday, the runner on second. Romine takes his lead off first. Davis 1 for 3 with a walk, single back in the first inning. Low and away from Wall, ball 1.
I saw Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, go out to the mound there. You know, I would say just trust your stuff if you're Josh Wall. Attack hitters, definitely pick up the pace a little more, which he seems to be doing here between pitches. Just a more aggressive mindset. And sometimes the pace that you establish on the mound can also dictate your level of aggressiveness. You know, all the pickoffs, the throws to first base with Holiday over there who's not going anywhere, holding the set for a long period of time. It looks like he's much more in rhythm here, more aggressive.
Two balls, 1 strike. Still 1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning. Fastball missing high. Now 3-1. Payoff pitch from Wall is low, ball 4. Second walk of the inning, and the Tigers have loaded the bases against Josh Wall.
And now finally we see some action in the bullpen. Fernando Salas getting up here. This kind of happened to Mike Scioscia last night as well, where he seemed to have the game in hand and wound up having to get multiple pitchers up and into the game. Situation here where you want Wald to have a confidence booster, a good clean inning, and instead, 4 batters in, he's got the bullpen hot again.
Bases loaded with Kinsler at the plate. He's 0 for 4 today. Takes a called strike. Holiday, Romine, and Davis. Holiday a bunt single. Romine and Davis walked. Kinsler rips one foul. 0-2. No grand slams for Ian Kinsler in his career, but he is batting .304 with the bases loaded. Behind in the count, 0-2. Fouled off to the right side. Tigers scoring 2 in the second. Nick Castellanos with a 2-run shot. There's Miguel Cabrera waiting on deck. Cabrera scored on a sacrifice fly in the third, and then Victor Martinez with a solo home run off C.J. Wilson in the 5th inning. Another foul off to the right.
So if you're Joe Nathan in the bullpen, what are you rooting for here? What do you want to happen? You want to come in and get a save? Or you want your team just to blow it open and, even though you warmed up, take the rest of the day off?
What do you think?
Joe's been around so long, I'm sure he's not rooting for anything in particular. Whatever comes his way. You learn, control what you can control, and don't worry about the rest of it.
Left center. Catch is made by Trout. Holiday tags, no throw. Holiday slides and scores easily. No throw from Trout, and the Tigers now lead 5-1. Sacrifice fly, 11th run batted in of the season for Kinsler.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for Josh Wall right here.
Cabrera with a double his last time up. He's reached base 3 times.
Look at this outfield defense. You would think that a left-handed hitter were up at the plate right now.
Left center, it's Trout. And that will do it for the Tigers in the 8th. They score a run. Now lead the Angels 5-1. Trout will lead off when we return to Detroit. live tonight at 11 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Well, here is Joe Nathan with the Tigers now leading 5-1. Nathan comes into the game. He is the active saves leader with 343 following the retirement of Mariano Rivera. 7th appearance for the Tigers this season. He will face Trout, Pujols, and Ibanez.
A non-save situation, but the opportunity to get him back on the mound here. Pitched just a couple of days ago, but they've had so many days off.
Trout 0 for 3 today against the Tigers starter Max Scherzer with 3 strikeouts. 1 for 6 lifetime against Joe Nathan. Trout has never struck out 4 times in a major league game.
Well, that last pitch, that slider, that was unhittable from Joe Nathan.
The 0-2. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, why not throw it again?
Albert Pujols waiting on deck. Terrific job by Jabba Chamberlain, retiring the Angels in order in the 8th inning. Chamberlain struck out 2. 9 strikeouts for Scherzer. And the count now 2-2 on Trout.
Pure stuff. That's what the Tigers can throw at you. You saw that with Scherzer. The way Chamberlain threw the ball in the 8th inning. That's as good as he's looked in a couple of years. Of course, Joe Nathan. Tigers can take a red-hot hitting team and make them look bad just with pure stuff.
Angels with only 3 hits after they had 10 extra base hits in the game last night. No hits today since the 3rd inning. Two from Nathan, a called strike 3. So for the first time in his career, Mike Trout has struck out 4 times in 1 game. The King play of the day is brought to you by Burger King.
Well, to me, it's got to be Max Scherzer. Started the game off by allowing a home run to J.B. Shuck, but after that, and especially after the 4th inning, a couple of walks, was just on point with all of his pitches, especially the changeup and slider. You see the changeup right there. He got a lot of swings and misses on the changeup today.
And now Pujols drives one to deep left field. It is gone. Home run number 6 on the season, number 498 in the career of Albert Pujols.
That looked like the carbon copy of number 497 last night. First pitch fastball. Watch him open up that front hip, clear the hips, and get the barrel through the zone. Wow, look at that balance. That's just a classic Pujols swing.
Now time is called as the ball has been thrown back onto the field.
I don't think they'd do that if that was number 500.
No. So Albert Pujols now just 2 away from 500 career home runs. Second career home run for Pujols off Joe Nathan. So the Angels now with 29 home runs on the season, which leads the major leagues. 2 today. One in the first inning from Schuck, leading off the game, and now Pujols in the ninth.
Well, they have to be encouraged with what they've seen from Albert, from the power department. I don't think he played a day healthy last year with the plantar fasciitis, really bothering him from spring training into the season. You couldn't judge anything off his year last year. You can't begin to judge him now because he's healthy. And that power is back. Again, I'm not sure we're going to see the 300-plus batting average. More pull power than all-field power. Certainly looks like that 30 home run track. He's on it. I mean, just imagine if, he's one of these people, you come to the ballpark maybe once or twice a year, and you come to this game today. You get to see Miguel Cabrera, Max Scherzer, Albert Pujols, Mike Trout. Might bring you back tomorrow.
Worth the price of admission. Kinsler. Backhand toss, 2 away. And if you stayed home and watched on TV, you got to hear from not only Tom Verducci and Ken Rosenthal, but Ron Allen, Mark Gubicza. And you can catch them tomorrow on both Fox Sports West and Fox Sports Detroit. Great job by our entire crew. Producer Pete Macheska, Director Bill Webb, Associate Director Aaron Stoikov, Broadcast Associate Jordan Harrison, Technical Director Paul Harbath, Tech Manager Sid Drexler. Dave Corris and Greg Innes crunching the numbers. Angels down to their last out after scoring 11 runs in last night's game on 13 hits. Does 2 runs on 4 hits today. As Kendrick falls behind 0-2. Tigers 1 strike away from ending their 10-game losing streak at the hands of the Angels. They'll do it again tomorrow here at Comerica. Rick Porcello and Hector Santiago. Kendrick gets a piece of it to stay alive. Castellanos gave the Tigers the lead with a 2-run shot on the second. And they would never look back. Max Scherzer allowed just 1 run on 3 hits in 7 innings after going winless over his first 3 starts this season. Scherzer, of course, plagued by a lack of run support over those first 3 starts. Total of 5 runs over his first 3 starts. Tigers have scored 5 for him today.
Brad Ausmus, the manager, has to be happy. First time all year they played 4 straight days. They look sharp. Strong starting pitching. That's the backbone of this team, of course, with Max Scherzer. An emergent 8th inning pitcher in Jabba Chamberlain. Miguel Cabrera swung the bat better today. Getting into the rhythm of the season now are the Detroit Tigers.
Ausmus also won a challenge back in the 3rd inning, which led to the Tigers' 3rd run. 2-2 to Kendrick. Just foul. And on the Angels side, their starter, C.J. Wilson, lasts only 5 innings. Mike Trout strikes out 4 times for the first time in his career. The 2-2 from Nathan. Another foul. So the Angels with an opportunity today to raise their record above 500 for the first time since opening day last season. But they trail 5-2 down to their final strike. Nathan, in a non-save situation, allows a home run to Albert Pujols here in the ninth inning. Number 498 of his career. That will do it. Hendricks strikes out. And the Detroit Tigers defeat the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 5-2. Tigers raise their record to 8-6. Angels drop to 8-9. Scherzer, his first win of the season. C.J. Wilson drops to 2-2. 2 runs, only 4 hits for the Angels. 1 error, 5 runs on 10 hits for the Tigers. So Brad Ausmus and his club bounce back after the 11-6 loss last night. For Tom Verducci, Ken Rosenthal, and our entire crew, this is Kenny Albert saying so long from Detroit. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on Fox Sports 1 as we send it to Ryan Field in our studio. Take it away, Ryan.